digital place that constantly generates data. Everything we do and everything we create produces inconceivable amounts of data with exponential growth. We will soon reach the point where we are generating as much data in one day as we have in our entire history. Humans try to organize this exponentially growing collection of facts, events, concepts, and assertions into databases for the purpose of storage, retrieval, and analysis. Using search mechanisms, modern AI-based software accesses big data pools and processes these for every task from the beginning. And the larger the data volume of information, the greater the required processing power, again and again. By doing so, we will never be able to understand and realize the full potential of this data. For this reason, we have to find new approaches and rethink digitalization and data processing. The human brain links and processes huge amounts of information every second of every day. To do this, it uses neurons that learn, calculate, and communicate independently, but are in constant interaction with each other, basically creating intelligent data. Based on this, we have developed the C+8 data model, in which data organizes itself completely autonomously. The quantum relations machine we developed is already reading and processing thousands of terabytes of unstructured data, which is immediately archived as intelligent information according to our data model. This results in continuously growing amounts of natively arranged dynamic structured records that digitally map the real world, its behavior, and its correlations. Little by little, this produces a continuously evolving model of knowledge that is mutually and autonomously associated with incoming information through joint connections, creating a 45-dimensional knowledge network. By opening up new perspectives, we discover unknown correlations, and by unbiased analyses performed by machines, we gain new insights, forecasts, and decision-making aids at an unprecedented level. Our first application, Decision Point, supports decision makers from the domains of finance and politics by providing precise information and unbiased fact-based analyses. In addition, we are developing customized solutions for sophisticated users, as well as a developer's API that allows external decision makers and developers to access our revolutionary data model, letting the entire world benefit from our technology and its wide range of applications. Prisma Analytics. Join our future.
So thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I know I'm old and frail, but don't be fooled. My ideas are still young and transformative. And I hope I can introduce one of these today here in this conference. Marco, thank you for giving me the floor here to let me present. Our next thing, after we created this technology, and I'm talking a little bit more about it to explain it, was what are we going to do with it? How do we use it within the framework of something that is so badly needed, which is global sustainability? Obviously, I don't have to get very deep into this. We are in a lot of trouble on this planet in 1,000 ways. But you know what? The problem, the real problem is that all the knowledge to solve any problem either someday in the past existed or exists now or is within reach to be generated. So what our next play is, after we created C+8, this data model that can unite any kind of information into one matrix, we are now creating the SDG Knowledge Vault. And wonderful enough, we had the opportunity with Roland Schatz to create, under the foundation of the United Nations, the SDG Knowledge Vault, which is a part of the United Nations Global Sustainability Index Institute. Because what we are now wanting to create is too big to be just a business, to be just something. It has to be global, and it has to be not owned by anyone, but it has to be owned by the world, by all of us, which does not mean one that contributes to this couldn't make money with it, and in fact you can, and I will get to that. The next slide, I will actually read that out loud because it's so important. What is the Knowledge Vault? Knowledge Vault is a global sustainability strategy in a technically fully functional mechanized cloud storage and technology created with the purpose to accumulate over time and make accessible to anyone all electronically recorded human knowledge which has been accumulated on this planet on any computer or network or has become legally available for public distribution and consumption. It's a big ticket. Knowledge in this context means any copy of any document, publication, science paper, record, measurement, image, video, or other digital media like news, for example, which holds any information of cultural, commercial, historical, scientific, educational, or otherwise useful information. All data, information, knowledge is imported, stored, analyzed, source indicated, very important, and delivered, displayed through the C+8 data model and its constantly growing array of global analytical presentation tools. So in other words, this is a cloud solution that attempts far beyond Wikipedia or far beyond any other attempt to take a slice out of information, maybe only scientific information, or only financial information, or only medical information. No, we want all, everything, in one place, wall to wall, accessible. Why is this interesting? How do we actually create this knowledge? It's very simple. Raw data, and by the way, I'm the world's worst designer of slides, so please don't judge me on my slides. Just go for the content here. Raw data in, and the knowledge output is either sourced and indexed raw data out, if that is what you want, or high-end analytics created across the entire knowledge vault. So you can get out then, for example, raw knowledge, quantitative knowledge, qualitative knowledge, associative knowledge, or a composite of all of them. So knowledge is created on demand. What we provide is analyzed information, data. The user that then comes on here creates knowledge by his requests. What do you really want to know? What are the forensics that you're really after? And that is in the interplay with the knowledge vault and the tools that we provide that actually creates the real knowledge. How's the knowledge vault organized? Okay, so here it is. We have the Guardian IGO or NGO, or at this point right now it's an SVP that works together with about 1,300 universities, which are organized under this UN sustainability drive. And we are working with them to identify all the verticals in the knowledge vault that need to be filled. And they not need to be filled only by universities, but they need to be filled by everything that is available. That also includes conspiracy theories. That includes QAnon. That includes every speech Donald Trump ever gave. That includes absolutely everything. And if it's sourced and properly indexed, then it reveals itself very clearly. You can follow up any source, or you can follow up even any creator of information by name and find out what they create over time, whether it is good or bad information, whether it's useful, okay? So then, of course, we have another system. We have the Eden license key system, which is like a cryptocurrency, and you will need it to access the knowledge vault. Why is this interesting? For the first time ever, it will be possible that any person on this planet, no matter what your gender, no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, you can come to the knowledge vault and you can use any of the tools against a micropayment through Eden, and you can use the tools to get the answer to your question. And you don't even need to say who your name is. You don't need to have long-term subscriptions to any software or anything. You have a question, you come to the knowledge vault, you get your answer. So here are the 10 main verticals that the knowledge vault will cover, and I don't want to read them out now. As you can see, we cover pretty much absolutely everything, and then there is thousands of sub-verticals that are going to be covered by this. So what is the C+8 data standard? I'm going to go really quick through it. It's a sandbox organized around causality and the 8 cardinal experiences that the human brain has. And what we actually did is we arranged a data model exactly like your brain thinks and like your brain interacts and connects the dots. And this is the extended. Not only do we take these 8, we then also add, for example, properties and functions, and all of that plays into causality. Here's how we then build these data fusion objects. And then we can, when we have it extracted, we extracting time series, we can extract qualitative information. And that then gets fed into what we call the cube. And the cube there are thousands, millions, trillions of cubes in which we modulate time series, which has an expandable set of qualities, of domains, and of course of time, and of value. And we can then do inferences, we can fill all kinds of cubes with all kinds of forensic information that we're seeking. We then overlay it with, for example, such experiences as financial crisis or epidemic or war, social unrest and so on. And we can go then down into the data, and we are looking for stochastic signals pre-event, during event, and post-event to even begin to predict them. So the output then, of course, is that we have these very complex but very simple to understand graphics that explain exactly what you are asking. So let me give you some examples. Here's, for example, a quantitative footprint of Elon Musk last month in the world that he left. This is his digital footprint, and we can now go and click on each and every one of these spikes and see what that footprint is all about on that particular day. Okay, we can then also do this qualitatively. I'm looking at this later again. Then here, for example, we can do comparative analysis. Elon and Jeff Bezos, okay? And interestingly enough, there is this one here where they converge. Nowhere they converge but here. Forensic analysis. What is this all about? It's about Pandora Papers. What is Pandora Papers? Boom. We go into the next forensics. Here is the event. That is the actual quantitative footprints in the world of this particular event. We now click, we find out what it is, and so on. Here is one example of qualitative information. This is, for example, about language, how it is used, and what the social underlying values are. And so here you see things like conflict and power and ideals and agreement and hope and anxiety and fear and so on and so forth. These are very important things. And then we have obviously the ability to score text and look in the quantities of these particular qualities in how they are shifting over time. We have other ways to do forensics, for example, to connect the dots. Here we are connecting events, people, geographies, time, concepts, groups, organizations, and so on, how they are influence each other. See, all of that stuff, when you have the right data model, is easy. It just pops right out at you. It's not a problem. Here we can do the same by geography. It is really the forensics of the world by having all the data wall to wall, so we can search for anything. It doesn't matter. You are interested in breast cancer in Africa, or you want to know about geopolitics in Japan, or you want to know about news coverage of a particular technology or something. Okay? Or here, for example, we give you completely source-filtered any kind of information abbreviated, all documents collapse down to one sentence, and you can actually find out who is talking about what in which way, quantitatively, qualitatively. Here, for example, we can give you the tone of language on anything talked about anywhere about any subject. Is it more talked about now, or is the language more indicating the future? Or do you have more negative or positive? Or the energy, is it strong? Or the reality, is it factual or non-factual, the language about a particular subject? All of these are quite important things. And then here, this I want to show you last. These are, for example, outputs that the knowledge world will give when you arrange situation rooms around a particular thing. Important here is the information that we put in goes back in history to the beginning of time, and it goes to the second before last when you made your query. That means if you sit in Rome and you make a query about a particular subject, and a second earlier some information in the digital environment occurred in Australia, for example, it will be considered in your query at that moment. That is what the knowledge vault is going to be, and that is what we're going to do from here on out. What do we need? Well, hundreds of millions in donations and in funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Hardy.
Thank you.